Good afternoon. And thank you all so very much again for joining us this afternoon for the second virtual mentoring platform and webinar that we're hosting through the Business Inclusion and Diversity Program. As you may remember, we hosted our first and the Business Inclusion and Diversity Virtual Mentoring highlight kicked off earlier with Miami-Dade County prime contractors and was a success. And so now is the second session. So let me tell you a little bit. I am Karen Yvette Hollis, the individual that's been charged with assisting the city in developing business inclusion and diversity programs and services that are designed to foster more inclusion. Thank you this afternoon for joining us. Thank you for your timeliness. What we usually try to do is allow a few more businesses to sign on because the information that we're going to be disseminating this afternoon in this webinar is of the value that any and all businesses can definitely benefit from. So if you'll be patient with us, we're going to give them probably 5 minutes to allow more businesses to sign on because we want to be sure that we include as many of the businesses as we can. Thank you again for your timeliness, and we will be back with you in just a few minutes or so. Until then. Well, now that we're back, thank you for your patience with us. We really appreciate again that you've taken the time out of your busy schedules to be able to join our webinar this afternoon. I am Karen Hollis, as stated earlier, for those of you that were not on the webinar, and I am the individual that the city is tasked with implementing the Business Inclusion and Diversity Program, which you should know by now that we refer to as BID. BID is definitely the program that the city is implementing as a tool and a resource to help local minority, disadvantaged, and small businesses in their efforts and their pursuits to do business with the city of Miramar. Now, several of the programs that have been initiated since BID, since we've come on board since 2018, were designed to meet and advance the recommendations of the disparity study. I am happy to let you know that as of April of 2021, the City of Miramar and the City Commission has moved forward, and now we're at the next step whereby the City Commission has approved the BID Act. This is step 2 or phase 2 in our efforts to advance more inclusion and opportunities for local businesses. Now, what does phase 2 look like? I'm glad you asked. The BID Act itself is a segment that's designed to provide more policies and procedures and to ensure that we're implementing measures to prohibit discrimination against any business that desires to do business with the city. And what this webinar, the virtual mentoring, in section 1.1 of the BID Act, it says that BID now has the authority to foster more inclusion programs by collaborating with various partners to host networking events that are designed specifically to connect small businesses with prime contractors, project managers, and agency leaders. Hence, virtual mentoring. We are close or getting into the conclusion of the COVID pandemic, but we did not want to have you not have the benefit of this exercise of connecting with city leaders. And so what we've done is we've developed a virtual platform where we can connect you with city leaders. We can connect you with the project managers of the city. We can connect you with local businesses that have been successful. So for today's session, we have an agenda that's sure to give you all the information you need to do business with the city of Miramar. Let's take a look at the agenda. First and foremost, the overview of BID, which I've already given you. Next, we're going to have introductions of the various directors that have joined us online this afternoon, our webinar panelists. And for today's session, I'm calling our directors the Miramar Primes. And then next, we're going to have a small business, D. Stevens Construction. We have them on board because we want you to know, small, minority, and disadvantaged businesses, that there are small businesses that are extremely successful in doing business with the city of Miramar. We wanted to showcase a success story so that you can hear not from us as city leaders, but you can hear from an end user, a business like yourself, of the success that he's had. And Mr. Sanchez has come to give you some tips on how you too can position yourself to be successful as well. And then after that, we're going to have the leaders that are on the line today that have been gracious enough to join me with this panel to be able to give you a little bit of information about the purchasing that takes place throughout their various departments, which is going to be vital information to make sure that you can plan ahead. One of the things that the disparity study said to us is that we as a city can and should do measures to make sure we give you enough information in advance so that you can prepare. And so that's what we're going to be doing. And then we're going to be answering your questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you businesses that took us up on our request to submit questions for us that I can make available and ask of the department directors. Specifically, I will be asking them your questions and I will be getting answers to your questions. So thank you for tuning in again as instructed to hear the answers to your questions. And then last but not least, after the answering in the questions section, we are going to have some upcoming contracting opportunities that are going to be made available in the city. Not only do we want to prepare you on tips on how to do business with the city, we want you to know what the departments are purchasing in the city, and more importantly, those surtax projects that are going to be upcoming. We have an engineer that's going to be here letting you know what those particular projects are, going through the scopes of work, the amounts, and what you need to do, small business, to prepare to be able to capitalize on those projects. Okay, that's our introduction. I'm most excited. Thank you as always for joining us. And so what we want to do is to ensure that you get an example that what we're talking about, those things we're advancing, building resilience, creating opportunities, advancing sustainability, securing contracting opportunities. It's not what we say. There are businesses that are successful in doing that. And so the gentleman that I have with me today, which I'm most excited about, that is going to be able to give you some valuable information is Mr. Joseph Sanchez. With a wonderful resume Mr. Sanchez has. He is a Florida certified general contractor. He's lead accredited professional. He has his BPS in construction management. He also has an MBA in management. He has over 30 years in construction and 8 years in DSC. Okay, this is a gentleman in a construction and an owner. He's a co-owner with D. Stevens Construction. He is the president, and he definitely is one that you as a small business owner can create and should try to create a connection with, because in terms of building relationships with small businesses, this is one that we showcase and care to showcase as a success story this afternoon for several reasons. For obvious reasons that he's been successful in not only securing contracting opportunities, but more importantly, in the performance of those contracting opportunities that he was able to secure. But also, we are showcasing him as a success story in D. Stevens Construction is because they can be heralded and they are often appreciated by programs like myself throughout the Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties for their inclusion of small, minority, and disadvantaged businesses in the performance of their duties on every contract that they get. So not only are they a small business, certified small business, but they ensure that they do all they can and they go above and beyond the call of duty to bring in other small businesses on the first tier, second tier, to make sure that they too are spreading inclusion and diversity opportunities for other businesses like yourself. So let me introduce to some, reintroduce to other, Mr. Joseph Sanchez. Thank you again, sir, for joining us this afternoon. If you would be so kind to give all of our participants that have joined us on this call this afternoon some wonderful tips, let them know about who you are, your business, and what they can do to understand the imperative and those points that can better position them to be successful with the city of Miramar. Mr. Sanchez, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Hollis. I appreciate you having me on. Can you see my screen now? Just want to make sure I'm sharing. Excellent. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the city of Miramar for having me present this afternoon. It's really an honor and a privilege for D. Stevenson to be here. So I'm going to run through a couple of things to kind of share with our audience our story and how we got to where we are. So first of all, I'm Joe Sanchez, the president of D. Stevenson Construction. So again, as Dr. Hollis introduced me already, I'm a contractor. Been with the company for 8 years. I'm one of the co-owners of the firm with Dwight and his wife Dinah Stevenson, and one of the partners we have is Harry Darling. I've done a lot of construction over my years, over 30 plus years. Stopped counting after 30 years. I think we don't want people to think we're too old, but yeah, a lot of experience working in New York, the Virgin Islands, Atlanta, here in Florida. Prior to coming to work with D. Stevenson, I was head of facilities for Palm Beach County School District for over a decade, where I managed everything from construction to maintenance, environmental control, real estate, you name it, everything that has to do with facilities. I managed at Palm Beach County Schools, and then joined Dwight, like I said, about 8 years ago. So where's D. Stevenson Construction? We were founded in 1992. So next January, we'll be celebrating 30 years in business. So we've been around for a bit. We do a lot of public work. About 75% of our work is public, 25% is private. We do small projects and large projects. Here you can see some of our clients. We are the largest African-American owned Florida-based company, general contracting company. And we have several certifications as an MBE, DBE, and we're also members of various chambers, the Black chambers, different associations as well. And we're very proud of the fact that we have a diverse team. We wanted to make sure we went out in the industry and grabbed the best talent that's available out there. So you can just see a representation of the diversity of the team of D. Stevenson. So we call this, we're sharing some success stories. So we got to put our proof where our mouth is, and what is that proof here? So these are just some of the projects that we've done over the 30 years. You did a $17 million project for Broward College. We've done a $23 million affordable housing project out in the Glades. We've done work for Miami-Dade County, their police academy. Did a treatment center up in Palm Beach County. We built the Urban League of Broward County's headquarters. We've done fire stations. We've done multiple fire stations. Other municipal buildings. This one's for Riviera Beach. We've done libraries. Libraries is one of our specialties as well. Here on the upper left, you see that we did the Miami Dolphins training facility. We did the Jesse Trice Community Health Center in Miami Gardens. Some more housing, City Hall project here. We also did another community center. We did a number of airport projects as well. And we've done a number of school projects you see here. Some of the things that we're working on right now, we're working on a homeless resource center for Palm Beach County. We're working on the Overtown Youth Center project down in Miami. Some more affordable housing up in Riviera Beach, and then the Canyon Branch Library is one of the largest libraries for Palm Beach County. It's about a $12 million project that we're doing. So I got to brag about some of the work that we've done or are doing for the city of Miramar. We were involved with Fire Station 19, the multi-purpose center, as well as the Anson Park Center project. And then the most recent project we've just completed is the city of Miramar's public safety complex in the historic east section of Miramar. It's about an $8 million project. We just had the ribbon cutting for not too long ago, about a month ago. So I want to thank Darryl and his team for leading us through that process. So when we talk about small business success, we're going to talk about what works and what has worked for us. And I just want to share some of the things that makes us successful and can make you successful as well. So first thing you have to make sure you're ready for success. So are you ready to succeed? Do you have the basics covered? The state registration, your licenses, insurance. You wouldn't believe the number of companies that come to us to get pre-qualified. They don't have their basics ready. And you've probably heard about or seen stories about firms who were not able to apply for the PPP loans, which became grants, because they were not ready. They didn't have the basics in place. You got to get all those basics in place, including your certifications, because that helps you. I got to tell you that if you're looking for a reason to get certified or go through the effort of getting certified, I guarantee you, firms like ours, we go through those lists online and look for firms who are certified so they can help us pursue other projects. So there's definitely need to do that. If you're in the construction industry, get bonding. And it's not as hard as you think to get bonding. Firms can get bonding with as little as a 600 credit score. If you have some credit, you can usually get bonding on your personal credit. Financing needs to be in place. You got to have a banker, you got to have an accountant, you got to have a lawyer. They don't have to be your best friends. You just got to know their names. So when things like the PPP loans come about, you can call up your banker and say, you know what, I heard about this thing. Do I qualify? And they can walk you through that process. So you should have some people that you can call on. The second box is what's unique about you and your firm. So DSC, we're blessed because we have star power. We have Dwight Stevenson, who played for the Miami Dolphins and played in a couple of Super Bowls and was in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's definitely something that we benefit from, and we're not shy about taking advantage of that fact. But also, we early on we got some experience doing educational projects, and that helped us get some credibility. And we also we're an African American firm that can get bonding, and there aren't a lot of those firms, and we can get good size bonding. We bonded projects up to $23 million, and that makes us somewhat unique. And there are people out there who want to help minority businesses or African American businesses, and you have to give them an opportunity to do so by getting yourself ready for that position. So what is your story is the next thing. Do you have unique contacts that can help your firm and help your firm grow? Do you have a specialization? This is one of the things I always tell firms when they come to us is everybody wants to be a generalist, a general contractor, do this, do that. What is it that makes you unique? Are you a good scheduler? Are you really good at safety? Are you really good at quality control and inspections? If you get a specialization that people need and want, you can make that unique to you, and you can sell that specialization to different firms and different owners. So find out what's special about you. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, then you're not going to be successful. There's a book out there called Blue Water Strategies, where you're looking for opportunities in the blue water, not where the sharks are, where the sharks are creating each other and they're eating each other up. Look for the blue water. Look for the things where people are not killing each other. Look for that clear area where you can make a name for yourself. Do you have special licenses? Not everybody wants to go through the trouble of learning and studying and sitting for exams. If you've gone through all that trouble, use that uniqueness about yourself to sell your business and to earn yourself some business. And professional certifications, similarly, if you've gone through the training and you've gotten specializations in, I know this, I have a son who's going through some special training for IT. If you got that credential, use that to separate yourself from the crowd. And then in the last, I want to talk about what path do you want to take? So we've taken a number of paths, as you can imagine, over the last 30 years. But we've done partnerships and staffing, providing staff to other firms, for example. So like the Dolphins training facility project that we just done, that was over $100 million. We couldn't do that by ourselves. So we partnered with Moss on that project to get some experience on that one. So, perhaps another project to come along similarly, we get some, they have that credential. We partnered with Styles on a $100 million office tower project. We don't have that experience, but again, that gave us that experience. So early on in our career, early on in our development, we were doing similar things. We partnered up with firms on smaller projects, and now we can go out there and we have been primed. Most of the projects I showed you earlier, we are the primes on, and we're bonding, 10, 15, $20 million projects on. But we got that experience from partnering with larger firms, and we still partner on really big projects. We've chosen the path of doing a lot of government work ourselves, we find that there's some friendliness to minority and small businesses in government that you don't necessarily find in private sector. But that doesn't mean you should turn your nose to private sector. We do private sector work as well. It's just that you have some opportunities in government that you may not have in the private sector. And then there's other things that make it fairer in the government side than it is in the private sector. We've chosen to do construction management, so we don't bid a lot of work. We get selected based upon our qualifications most of the time. And we've done continuing service contracts. If you're in the construction area or design area, you may have heard potential clients tell you, apply for this continuing contract or this annual contract. We took that route and we've done 10 continuing contracts, or I think we're over 10 now. And that gives us an opportunity to get our foot in the door with a new client. We just got a new client with FAU. We never worked with them before. But last year we got a new contract with FAU, and we're up to our second project with them now, and hope to establish that relationship and do bigger projects with them. So what's the path that your firm wants to take? Do you want to do government or do you want to do private? Do you want to do bidding or do you want to negotiated contracts? And those are different options in the construction area, but there's other, I know some of the participants here are not necessarily in construction, but you got to think about what your path is in your particular industry. And then what is your business plan? What is your business model? How are you going to make money for your company? But the way you make money for your company may be different than the way somebody else makes money for their company. And you got to look at what kind of profit margins you can expect from your business model. So these are kind of things that lead you on the road to success for your particular firm. So you just got to map out your own way. But then you got to take it from the plan to the execution. So it's not enough just to plan things out and dream and think about how you want to go. You have to execute. So you got to have the right teammates. You got to have advocates. You got to have friends like Dr. Hollis and others like her who are there working within the system to point you in the right direction, to get you meetings with the right people. Find those advocates, those government officials, those elected officials who are there to help you and hold them accountable to their jobs. Then you got to find those coaches and those mentors, those people who may be in your industry or may not even be in your industry, but they know the path that you're taking. They can help you avoid some landmines. You got to make sure you find the right employees and the right vendors. These are all people who can lend their qualifications to help you get you where you're going. So you may have never done, for example, a library project, but you can hire somebody who has done a library project and you can get that experience on your team. You got a network. You see, we belong to a lot of different chambers and associations because we believe in networking and working off each other and using the power of numbers to help us achieve our goals. When we're trying to get disparity studies passed in Palm Beach County and school district and different places, we teamed up with others, the Black Chambers and others, to bring our united voices to the table to help get those things done. We do research. We basically, we study the film basically in a football term. You got to look at what's available. And that's one of the good things about government side is that you can go back and see who won the contract, for example, for landscaping or cutting the grass in the medians. You can go back and you can ask the client, you can ask the government who won that last contract and how much was it. And you can use that information to decide whether that's something that you want to do. So be smart about how you approach projects and approach opportunities. Then you want to be that one that follows through. There's going to be there's a lot of people on this phone call that attend these Zoom meetings and go to these different gatherings. And some of them walk in and walk out and never follow up. You be that one that follows up. You be that one that calls Dr. House or calls Mr. Johnson or calls one of these other people later on. And you be that one because after these meetings, very few people follow up. But if you're one of those ones that do follow up, they're going to remember you and they're going to help you get your opportunity. And then, of course, you got to perform. You're going to do well sometimes. Sometimes you're not going to do as well. But you got to realize that oftentimes we're held to a higher standard. And we have to do a good job. And if we make mistakes, we have to own up to them and fix our problems and get it done. So the other thing we have to do is we have to understand what resilience means, and we have to be resilient as firms out in this industry. So resilience is defined as an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. So there's going to be misfortune, there's going to be change, as I mentioned. There's going to be things that are going to happen. So there's going to be market fluctuations. The market goes up and down. We've been through a number of them in the construction industry, and things are going well right now, but things weren't going so well not too long ago. And there's going to be ups and downs. You got to be ready for that. There's going to be bad contracts and bad owners. By that I mean there's going to be terms in that contract that are going to stick you, and there's going to be bad intentions on the part of others that sometimes it's going to stick you. So you got to be ready for it. There's going to be internal issues. You're going to take your own problems sometimes. You're going to hire your wrong person if you're hiring people, and you're going to make mistakes. Either you or the people make mistakes. And then you got competitors who are trying to hold you down or try to beat you out. So you got to deal with them. And then you have forces. Things happen, uncontrollable things just happen, and you just got to be ready for them to deal with them. So just my keys in terms of how I deal with things is trust but verify. The days of the handshake contract, I'm afraid are gone. You got to, in our level of business, we do about between $20 and $30 million a year in business. We can't shake a hand and go move on. We gotta send a contract to our attorney. Our attorney's got to review it. He's going to advise us, and we have to move forward. You have to take risk, but measured risk. How far do you want to go? How is this? If you're going to build a project, how much of a profit margin do you need on that project to be successful? You don't want to take too much of a risk if you don't have to. Diversify clients and markets. So before I was telling you to specialize, I'm telling you to specialize, but also I want you to not necessarily be locked into one client who's responsible for 80% of your business. Because if you're finding that one client, you're too vulnerable to that client. So you got to diversify it to some extent. You could specialize in your talents, but diversify your clients and your markets. You want to make sure you have standards for hiring people, standards for the way you do work, and don't compromise on those standards. You want to use your allies to help you out when you need help. We're in the political season, and we contribute to campaigns. But when I make that phone call to that office, I want somebody to answer the phone and say, "Look, I helped you out, not because I helped you out, but I did help you out, and I want to make sure that you're there to help us out when we need it when things are not going right, because we do need some help out there." And then you need to put away some money for the rainy days. I tell you, markets fluctuate. Don't go out there and buy a Mercedes or Maserati, whatever it is that you want to get. Put some money aside. Get yourself a nice Toyota. Put your money aside, because the rainy days are coming, and be ready for it. So these things happen, and you just gotta roll with the punches. So really, that's the things that I wanted to cover myself, and I'm happy to stick around and answer questions, Dr. Alice, if you want. Here's my contact information for folks that want to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to, like I said, to follow up with people. Whoever took my advice to follow up, I'll be glad to reach back out to them and help share whatever knowledge I've gained over the years. Thank you, Dr. Alice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanchez. Those tips that you gave are just invaluable. Yes, yes, yes. Make sure, if you were listening, he says, make sure you're ready to succeed. Everyone wants to do business with the city or secure contracting opportunities, even when we have these grant programs and bonding and insurance. One of the things the young lady came and said, getting a grant is the easy part. Is what are you going to do once you secure it? There's some obligations on the other side. Getting the contract is not as easy as securing the grant, but what are you going to do? Are you ready to succeed? Are you ready to do business with the city? That was one of his tips. Make sure you are. Make sure what's unique about you. The way that we say it is tell your story. You have to be able to tell your story. No one can do it better than you. What path do you want to take? We call that planning. Planning. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And so these are the tips. These are the guidelines. These are the traits that the types and the caliber of firms like D. Stevens uses These are the individuals that Mr. Sanchez and those that are in place that are available and ready to be mentors and be individuals to whom you can reach out to. But at the end of the day, you as an firm, you have to prepare yourself because yes, Mr. Sanchez, you're right. So many were unable, unfortunately, to take advantage of a lot of those federal opportunities that were available. Free money, they were available, and so many could not capitalize because they did not have a financial portfolio. But one thing that you can be assured of, the city of Miramar is here to help you. We have programs and departments and individuals in place. We will continue to try to do all we can, but at the end of the day, there are some measures that are going to be have to undertaken by you, the small firm. Thank you again, Mr. Stevens, and we definitely want you to stay in place and you can help us with the answering of some of these questions. Now we're going to go into the great part. We're going to take a little bit of time. I want to introduce you and get you to know, just like we said, we promised and committed to do in the bid act. We want you to know who our department leaders are. There are purchases, a great deal of purchasing that takes place throughout the department that we need you to know what those purchases are. I'm going to take time right now. Within the next 30 minutes, I am going to allow and introduce you to the individual department leaders. And then I'm going to let them to tell you just a brief snippet about the purchasing that they do in their particular departments. We're going, once we go through all of them and you get to know these wonderful leaders that we have on board that will be answering your questions, then the next 30 minutes after that, we'll go into the Q&A session where I will present your questions and let them answer. First, we're going to start off with Anthony Collins of Public Works. Mr. Collins, thank you again for joining us. If you can say hello to the small businesses that are on the panel, that are on the webinar with us this afternoon, tell them a little bit about who you are and tell them a little bit about the purchasing that takes place in Public Works. Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
So, good afternoon. Anthony Collins, Public Works Director. Want to say thanks for the opportunity to participate in this very informative session or seminar. So a little bit about myself. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of Florida. Been involved in construction and engineering for over 25 years. Various degrees in construction management and civil engineering. Here at the City of Miramar Public Works Department, we are involved with quite a significant amount of purchasing, to the extent that we manages a lot of departments. A lot of times when people hear about public works, they think just in terms of roads and drainage, but in the context of the city, it's beyond just that. So we have the fleet department, which manages the city entire vehicle, which accounts for a significant amount of the purchasing activity that takes place. We also have the transit department that we manage the city transit. And of course, we have the right-of-way that is kind of the gem of what we do. We take pride in the maintenance and improvement of our right-of-way, which includes landscaping contract services. That's a significant part of what we do. Those of you, everybody is familiar with Miramar. One thing we pride ourselves in is in the appearance of our right-of-way. So that's a significant thing that we do on a daily basis. So we engage the services of landscaping contractors, and we have staff who also supplement that effort. We're also involved with our road maintenance. We maintain our we maintain our asphalt, our sidewalk. We solicited services from contractors, of course, because we have the capacity to do major, resurfacing, major asphalt repair work. We have staff again that supplement and respond to complaints when they come from residents. That's one thing that we pride ourselves in as well, to be able to respond to the need of our residents. We're also involved with the drainage of the city. We manage the drainage program here. And now we're currently in the process of acquiring a $12 million loan from the state revolving resources to do some major improvement in the historic section of the city, the phase 4 portion of it. Again, we're partnering with utilities on that project as well, because they have a water line replacement component there as well. So public works in of itself is it's all about service. It's all about partnership with the community and of course with our valid vendors and contractors. From time to time, we have meetings with our contractors. Of course, the procurement process is what we follow. We to ensure that our process is in alignment with the city procurement code and the state code and all that. So we do a significant, while we manage the resources, we manage staff, we manage our equipment, but the solicitation and the services that we acquire from our contractors and from our vendors, a significant part of what we do. So that's in a summary, some of our engagements as it relates to services and what we do with in terms of providing services to the public.
Excellent,
For any
excellent.
questions that you may have.
Oh, yes, we will be getting to the Q&A session, and we have questions for Public Works. Daryl Johnson is on the line. He is definitely our construction guy. The majority of the small businesses, especially our local ones, they know exactly who Mr. Johnson is. How are you, sir? Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Definitely introduce yourself and let the businesses know how it is that you continue, you and your team, to make yourselves available to the local small and minority businesses within the city of Miramar. Go ahead, Daryl.
I'm sorry. There it is. Thank you, Dr. Hollis. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daryl Johnson. I am the Division Director and Construction Administrator for the City of Miramar. And much like most of you, I am a small business owner myself. I have my own small construction company. Of course, I can't do business with the City of Miramar. That would be a conflict of interest, but I am a small business owner. For the most part, my duties for the City of Miramar are I oversee all of the vertical construction and the renovation and new construction of for the City of Miramar. When I say vertical construction, meaning of course all of the buildings and remodeling and renovation. Through the procurement process, of course, we adhere to all the procurement codes, and we also are. My department is also in charge of all of these design. We through the procurement process, we solicit for the design services as well as the construction services. Um, we're looking forward to doing business with the small businesses as we have in the past. We just, as Joseph Sanchez alluded to earlier, we just completed the construction of the historic Miramar Public Safety Complex project, which was a very successful project. And I think we had almost a 80 to 90%, I could, Joe could correct me if I'm wrong. We had like a 90% small business participation role in that
Right.
project, which we're very, very, very proud of. So again, we're looking forward to working with your small businesses, and I'll be available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Daryl. Now, for all of you that are on today that may have questions, you did not submit your questions in advance, and that's okay. We're an open door type of city. Feel free to enter your questions into the chat box. We would greatly appreciate if you can specifically identify to whom you are addressing the question and who you would like to answer your question to the extent that you can. We will have, and we have scheduled questions that we've set to answer and ask today. We will try to get to your questions at the end if time permits. If not, we do want you to know that all questions entered into the chat box will be answered. Paul and myself will be forwarding the questions to any and all of the directors that you requested we do so, and we will be having them respond to you directly with their answers. So don't feel as if you're left out. If you did not submit questions in advance, we're still accepting questions. Just know we will try to get to them during the session. If not, they will be forwarded to the respective director and they will get you an answer. All right, next on the list, we have Miss Elizabeth Valera, Parks and Recreation, often getting small businesses questions about how do we do business with parks? Parks and Recs is one of those departments that do a tremendous amount of work with small, minority, local, and disadvantaged businesses. So it was imperative for us to have Director Valera on the line today. Liz, thank you so very much for joining us. Introduce yourself, tell the businesses a little bit about the purchasing and the processes that go through in your department so that they can know best how to position themselves and to plan ahead. Take it away, Liz.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Karen. Of course, we're very excited to be part of this panel, and we definitely play a very big role with our local businesses. We run a lot of special events, and during the running of those special events, we really look forward to having participation from local vendors for concession, for food and beverage, for janitorial services, even for using their equipment, being able to bring them on board as partners with all these events. Like Anthony mentioned, we also take care of 41 parks, and we also do a lot of landscaping. And one of the recent initiatives that we're working with procurement is to try to close that gap up with the small businesses and be able to use local landscape vendors that can utilize this process to be able to maintain some of our parks. We also do a lot of programming, educational, athletics, and for that, we also look for vendors that can provide those services. It's a balance because we want to make sure that they're able to perform the services, but that our residents also gain some value from these programs. So that's the essence of how we handle with procurement. We also do a lot of equipment replacement in our parks, and now we're being very active in helping our public works team and doing some improvements in some of our facilities as well as our parks. So we also look for local vendors to be able to provide those services.
Excellent, Liz. Thank you so much for that overview. And now your businesses see why it was imperative and so important for you to join this webinar, because here at a glance, you're getting a scope of services from all of the departments, or quite a few of the departments of the city of Miramar. We still have another dozen or so that's not on the line that we'll have to do another segment for. We have utilities in the house. Mr. Francois, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, sir. I know personally that you and your team, under the leadership of Dr. Virgin, are always open when I give you a call. We've had small business utilization meetings whereby you've spoken to businesses. Can you please, sir, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Give them a little information about utilities and the departmental purchases that take place within the utilities department and how it is that a local small or a business on the line can position themselves to take advantage of utility opportunities. Take it away, Mr. Francois.
Hello, good afternoon, panel. My name is Francois Domon. Like Dr. Hollis referred to, I'm representing the Utilities Department on behalf of Dr. Roy Virgin. Well, a little bit of myself. I've been in the public sector for the past 25 years. I spent with the city of Hollywood next door. Also, I was a consultant for about 3 years or so in a small firm in Miami. I'm a licensed professional engineer and also have a master's degree in public administration. So with regards to the Public Utilities Department, and with all due respect to all the departments present, in my opinion, the most important and essential department in every single municipality. Granted that we are providing drinking water to 139,000 plus residents. We're running 3 major treatment facilities that are heavily regulated by the state, by the federal rules, and also local rules. We also have an extensive array of diverse underground piping that are out of sight. Nonetheless, they're essential for the livelihood in any municipality, especially Miramar. We also run a collection of sewer systems throughout the whole city, an array of piping, or again, underground piping. We have over 141 small, what we call sewer lift stations throughout the whole city. So with regards to the opportunities to local, small, I would say local small business, and I like that concept as well. Back in my previous life in Hollywood, we did have a program for local companies. The Utilities Department uses a number of specialized contractors. We do have opportunities with regards to the mechanical area, electrical area, instrumentation, with regards to replacement pumps, piping as well. So we have different types of sizes of projects. We have multi-million-dollar projects. Similar to that, we have a small project that could include replacement of a small valve, for instance, in one of our systems. That we cannot do it in-house. We have to retain the assistance of any local or small company. So overall, we do have an array of opportunities, in my opinion, my strong opinion, for any small company to come and sit with us and see in which area they can help us improve our systems. Of course, instrumentation, everything that has to do with improvement the technology of the utility, that's also part of our business.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir, for that valuable information. We actually have a tag team on the line with fire department. Tara and I were ambushed the other night.
Can't live without us.
No, sir. So we'll get back to you. We definitely have some questions we want you to answer. So now we'll go over to fire. Tara Smith and I were ambushed the other night with small businesses asking questions about what's going on and how can they do business with fire. And so thank you. Not only is Tara Smith joining us, but she brought a captain along. There you go, power in numbers. Tara, please, Captain, thank you so much for Mr. Lorenz joining us this afternoon. Please introduce yourselves and tell a little bit of information to our small businesses that are on the line about how they can position themselves to be able to offer their goods and services to the fire department for the city of Miramar. Take it away, guys.
Well, first, thank you very much. We're very excited to be part of this. It's very important, of course, to support the small businesses in the community. So it was a pleasure to answer questions the other evening, and it was wonderful to be included in this. So I did bring a friend with me. Captain Lawrence heads up our logistics division, which is really, if you need something or you need something done, that's where you're going. So he is the one with all of the knowledge, and so I will turn it over to him to start introduce himself and give an insight into where we buy things and what they are and such.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me. First of all, I've been with the city for 21 years. Now I'm in charge of the logistics department, and if recently we had a pandemic that I think every department locally in our city ended up getting to meet us. We pretty much purchased all the PPE equipment. We'll continue to purchase that. Now, since I've been in logistics, we have seen an increase in small, I guess, local businesses since some of the major organizations didn't have PPE, right? So I think it's a great thing to do for us to combine some of the workforce around us and be able to help each other. We definitely need everybody in the community sometimes when things are pretty tough and we need the equipment. We run 5 different stations. Inside the stations, we have many equipments, kitchen, residential, commercial kitchens. We have laundry. We have gym equipment. We obviously have we have safety equipment, and all these things are getting maintained by us utilizing small businesses in the community. We have partnered up with many different small businesses that'll come and they'll do service to our stove, for example. And we continue to do that. As a matter of fact, we wanted to implement one of these quarterly meetings. So have people from the outside, from local areas, to meet up with the fire department. There's a lot of times that we need equipment and we're the ones searching to see where we buy it from. I think it will be best if we allow them every quarter to meet up with us and show us the equipment they have, the prices, if it's competitive. And that way we can go ahead and purchase that. It makes our job easier, not to search and spend so many man hours looking for a company that sell the equipment. I'd rather open up our doors and have people visit us every quarter. We could probably talk to, we'll get together and we'll set something in a schedule. And that way we allow people to come in and definitely show us the items. Locally, we have used a couple companies that we bought masks from. Myself, I drove to their warehouses, pretty much bought every single mask that they had. At this point, we are very well stocked in masks. Gloves was still one of those things that we still trying to find. So if you have a company that has competitive prices, we always welcome them to come in.
And we'll publish that
Excellent.
online as well.
Yeah.
Well, we have some questions, and one of the things that in preparing for the webinar, we put the request out for businesses to submit questions. And initially, we're thinking of the traditional departments. I was thinking of the traditional departments, the construction, utilities that we know and the disparity study spoke about. And then when I got questions in, some of the questions were actually for fire. So I had to call other departments that the questions came in for. And I thank you all for joining us. And I'm definitely going to take you up on that offer, Captain, to arrange a portal or some kind of way for us to allow these businesses and to work directly with you. So thank you so much. You said that to the right person. You're not going to be able to get rid of me now. Last but definitely not least, we do have IT in the house, Mr. Ricardo. Thank you, sir, for your patience. Thank you for participating this afternoon. You and CJ, the director of IT, they're always so gracious. Several businesses, everyone now, and especially now that the city has secured the technology award. So many businesses are moving in the 21st century into the technology arena. We often get businesses, and they've been so gracious with small business empowerment meetings. We've had utilization meetings, and there's so many businesses that reach out wanting to know how to do business with IT. We do have questions for you, sir, but for now, Ricardo, if you could just introduce them, tell them a little bit about yourself and the purchasing that takes place within the IT department. Please, sir, take it away, Ricardo.
Thank you, Dr. Hollis, and thank you for the invitation to be part of this panel. Would like also to say good afternoon to our other panelists on today's webinar. So the IT department, obviously, we take care of all the city's IT needs from a data infrastructure and user computing, telecommunication, and networks. So within the department, we have 5 fairly small but potent teams to help us accomplish that. Some of the services that we typically advertise and solicit for range from anywhere from hardware and user devices, copiers and printers, as well as mobile devices. Our data team essentially takes care of our data infrastructure, our servers, our backup. We have our network team, which also takes care of all of our network and telecommunication needs. Cybersecurity team speaks for itself. And last but not least, we also have a small public safety team, which takes care of the IT needs for the police and fire department. As I mentioned, also our services and software and hardware procurement needs vary rangely. But to speak more specifically to the services can range anywhere from system or infrastructure assessment to making sure that we're up to the latest and best practices, system upgrades, which we frequently do to make sure, once again, that we are up to the latest version of application, therefore minimizing our exposures, and as well as some of the compliance audits that we must complete sometimes, depending on the actual requirement on a yearly basis. And I'm speaking in terms as far as CG's compliance audit, PCI compliance, and so on and so forth. So I'll be here. So if you have any specific questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them for you later on in this webinar. Thank you.
Well, that was perfect. We do have others on the line that's going to be doing the presentation later, but this gets us right into the Q&A. It's time for us to start answering these questions that the small businesses have submitted. And Ricardo, since I saved the best for last, we'll start with you with the questions. How about that? I'll make you the first in the Q&A session. Now, I remember in doing a small bit, I was going to start with Liz. I wasn't sure if she was back, but I see her. She'll be next. But Ricardo, since I have you, listen, one of the things that I was able to see when I did a small business utilization meeting with you is that there's a certification that's required for businesses to do business with the city. And it was really interesting to learn about that. And I'm like, well, we need to let all businesses know that there's a particular certification, because the one business that was looking to do business had to then stop and go forward and try to secure that certification. So my questions are, what is this certification? How can, it's like a twofold, how can small businesses secure this certification? Is there a cost they will have to pay? And do you have a contact person they can reach out to assist in this particular certification process?
That is correct. Thank you again, Dr. Hollis. And yes, I believe the certification you are referring to is the CGIS certification, which is the Criminal Justice Information System certification, which is required by the state of Florida for the police department specifically. However, we do require that vendors have it, because oftentimes whatever improvement that we're doing to our infrastructure will include police. So although that requirement in terms of certification is strictly for the police department, however, since a lot of our work encompasses our entire infrastructure, we do make it a requirement for most large scale project. So yes, this is a certification that vendors will have to get their staff qualified for. There is a cost associated with that. And we do have a contact information, which I can share with you later and you can publish to the participant. But yes, I believe there is a cost for certain, and I can share that information with you.
Excellent. And then I submitted all of the questions, and then more questions came after the deadline. So I do apologize, and then some of which were for IT. And so since I have you now, here are questions that came in for IT. Are there any opportunities that came from a small business owner from Pembroke Pines Information Management System, Mr. Merrick? Are there any opportunities for outside consultants to do IT work for the city? He wants to know what are the applications the city is running? What type of hardware is the city using? What are the tools being used to protect the city from ransomware? And is the city open to working with micro-sized firms with experience to assist in these areas? Ricardo?
All right, thank you. Yes, well, I do thank you for sharing those questions with us. And starting at the top, in terms of the type of services that we would work with vendors with, one is with hardware acquisition, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, anything from end user computing, including mobile devices, as well as copiers and printers. However, I will say that we are strictly a Dell shop. So most of our equipment is Dell branded, with the exception of some mobile devices, of course. The services that we usually engage outside vendors with, I alluded to a little bit earlier, are mostly for assessment professional services when it comes to new software implementation or system upgrades. Also mentioned that we have 5 fairly small teams. So depending on the size of the project, we often do have to go out and supplement staffing in terms of professional services to take on larger projects. So again, our needs depends on the size and the scope of the project, but we are typically interested in doing business with any firm that will offer these type of services, as well as hardware and software license procurement. In terms
And
of
that ransomware, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, in terms of the applications that we manage, frankly, we support up to nearly 100 applications in-house, believe it or not. Anything from the simple Word, Excel, PowerPoint applications that we use daily, up to our enterprise resource planning or ERP application, which is Tyler Munis. So kind of speaks a little bit to the skill set of staff with all these applications that we need to support on on a day-to-day basis. So another thing I will say in terms of the applications that support, one of our key focus is making sure that anything new that we bring on board, that we are able to create some kind of integration, especially with our ERP system, to make sure that everything works well together, to make sure that this system are able to speak with one another and information is able to flow bidirectionally, therefore simplifying and streamlining our workflow.
Fantastic. So I submitted those questions to you. If you can give me a written answer, I'd be more than happy to forward that to the individual, and hopefully they will sign on and get the answer to their questions. Ms. Valera, Parks and Recs, we do have questions for you. Okay, the small business, Mr. Palasan sent in, he's with Journey to Engineering, he says, and I'll do his a little different because it's a lot of it. Is there a rotation system the city uses to determine which businesses are allowed to administer the summer camps? Is there a rotation system? Because if so, how can he place his business on that rotation list?
There isn't a rotation system per se. We receive proposals from vendors, and each one is assessed individually. And of course, there's an evolution of the selection process where many different elements are reviewed, but there isn't a rotation.
Next, he says, what time of the year, you say what time of the year does the selection process take place, but you don't have one? So is there a place on the city's website that allows businesses to be added to this list? There is no list.
There is no list.
And so what does a business have to do after presenting and submitting a business proposal and a meeting with park staff to have a chance to do work with you?
Well, I'm certain that when the submittal is presented to the city, it depends what type of programming it is. If it's a recreational program, it would be reviewed by our recreation superintendent. And that superintendent would review it. Definitely, we always do the follow-up, and we would always give some kind of response. And like I said, there's many elements that we look at. We try to avoid any duplication of services because we want whatever vendor we're working with to be successful. We also look at cost, availability of location, if there's a desire for that type of programming. So there's a lot of analysis that goes into every proposal. Cost is obviously something that we would look at. We want to be sure if there's a cost to our residents that it's a fair cost. If it's something that the city would pay, then we would see budgetary if we're able to carry those costs. So that's basically how we would handle it. But that review actually falls under the recreation superintendent. If she wants to support the program, she feels that it could be successful and there would be a return to the community, then she would probably meet with myself and my assistant director, and then we would get back to that vendor that proposed the programming.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And again, our goal here and on these platforms is to provide you, the small business owner, with as much information to position yourself to be successful in doing business with the city. Now you know through IT that there's a particular certification that you need to secure if you want to do business with the city of Miramar in that arena, in that industry. With Parks and Recs, I'm so impressed with the work that Ms. Valera and her team are doing. I've been a resident for the city of Miramar for 25 years. I've only worked with the city for 3 or 4 years, but I've actually lived in the city of Miramar. I raised children in the city and we went to the parks. We participated in all of the activities on the rotation round of the sports. I have boys. And so I know as an end user, the extent to which they go to secure quality programming that they make available to the residents of the city. I was even more impressed, Ms. Liz, when I came on board to find the process in which, and the strenuous process within which you and your team go to ensure, because what people don't realize is we have a fiduciary duty to ensure that we are contracting with qualified, capable, and the best that we can make available to our residents. So it's not a system whereby you just come in, but there are procedures and processes in place because we have an obligation to ensure that we cover our guidelines, our protocols, our policies and procedures, and have things in place to offer the best. And so as a recipient and an end user of the fine work that you and your team do, I know that it works. And you, small business owner, and sitting with her, with other small businesses in the summer programs, I was elated to learn that a small business can come, you have an offering, they make you available to a park whereby you don't have to go and actually look for the residents, because what they've understood, the residents might, like myself, that live across the street from the park, I'm coming every summer with my children. So when you're successful in developing and telling your story, like D. Stevens said, Mr. Sanchez said, through the construction company, and they select you and your business for one of the parks, there is a host of residents that go every year to these particular parks. You don't have to go and find businesses. They have individuals and residents that regularly come every summer. So what your obligation is, make sure you get yourself prepared. Make sure you are prepared to do your proposal and give it to their staff. Tell the story in such a way that can communicate that it's a value to the residents. Did you hear what Director Valera says? She and her team, once they review what you submit, they have to make sure that it's a value added to the residents, that in terms of what they select and how those selection processes take place, about what will take place at the parks. Last question, Director Valera, you're gonna love this one. His last question: how can how can a business get a meeting with the park director?
Simple.
That's the final question he had for you, ma'am.
Simple. My door is always open. I'm available to any resident. I encourage the feedback because we definitely welcome any comments, suggestions, especially from the local vendors, because we really want to partner with them. We really want to benefit our own businesses. So definitely my door's always open. I work very long hours, so I make myself available. Definitely my number is on the website. I have email, so I'm available at any time.
And all of the directors, you can go to the city's website, cityofmiramar.org, and you can find all of the information. Just look on the scroll down departments, you can find all of these directors and their contact information and their email addresses. Okay, thank you so much for doing such a great job with answering those questions for me. Okay, fire. I have been operating my business in Miramar for 25 years, said this small business. He really has. And I've been trying to do business with the city of Miramar for all 25 years, he said. Right, Tara? He's been trying to do business with the city for 25 years. And I often tell the businesses, now the bid is here, and we've been here for 3 years. The disparity study did say that we need to do a better job. And so we know that there are some people that have had challenges trying to do business with the city. But I will tell you, and I often tell the businesses, a lot of the assistance in the programming for helping small businesses existed long before the Business Inclusion and Diversity Program or the EBD departments came aboard. You had community involvement, you had individuals within the city. I was quite impressed when I came on board to see the extent to which a lot of the open door policy of the directors, as well as the commissioners, in terms of being able to do business. But we have to answer this question, Captain. He says he's been trying to do business. So what does he do? I'm glad you asked. He says, I sell face masks, gowns, and other medical equipment. How can I arrange a meeting? He says, this goes as a follow-up. You've already answered the question, Captain, but I am going to ask because he's going to be listening to the webinar to hear his questions asked. How can I arrange a meeting to show Fire how to have Fire review my products?
Okay, well, this is a bit different. This is an individual that's been doing the business for 25 years. So we definitely want to, once and for all, want to give him an answer that he's been looking for. He can definitely contact me. I'll have the information, give it to you or to Tara, and my cell phone, my office, my email. pretty much we can sit down, we can meet up. I would definitely love to do business with him, and mainly if he's carrying these items that we all need. Would love to have him a neighbor, right, to provide some of the solutions that I need, which is to find this equipment.
Excellent, excellent. And of course, Tara can confirm that I said the first thing you do so that Brenda Martin from procurement doesn't get me, or Director Ayung, to position your business to do work with the city of Miramar to become a registered vendor, because all of the purchasing of goods and services for the city of Miramar is done through the procurement department. So it's definitely the first point of call for businesses. You must register your business and become a registered vendor with the city of Miramar. By doing so, you are saying to the city, when and if you are procuring these goods and services, you will receive an email. You want notification. An email notification will go directly to you saying we are procuring this good or this service. More than that, I will be forwarding you the information for that small business, because equipment and things of this nature sometimes fall into a specialization category. So I'll definitely forward you his information so that we can see if we can connect. All right, let's continue with more questions. We did IT and parks. Now, here we go. This one is across the board, everywhere from construction, Daryl, utilities, public works, even D. Stevens can answer this. We have a business owner of integrated project systems. He says, can you ask the prime contractors or the city primes to provide you with a list of professional service that they do not have or do in-house that they would be willing to outsource to a qualified SBE firm? This is, I did attach for all of you to see the resume that he attached of his services. This individual is a principal consultant. His company is Integrated Project Systems. He does civil engineering and construction management. And he says he's a project manager type. So I did add his resume to it. I don't know if you all were able to look at it, but I'll start with, let's say, we'll start with D. Stevens. Did you get a chance to look at that resume? I know I had you as a pointer, but stay on call. We'll start with Daryl, because I know he was prepared to come. So Daryl, D. Stevens, and Anthony, to all of you, whichever truth powers, chime in and see what information. Are these the types of services and the skills? He said he has extensive background in program project controls, including the preparation and management of schedules and cost control systems. He's been a subcontractor and supplier buyout and management, including quality control, safety, change order negotiation, invoice approval, punch list, and project closeout. Technical support and planning, risk analysis, quality control, design interpretation, conflict resolution, constructability reviews, and cost estimate development for valued engineering services. That is what he does. Let's start with Daryl, then we'll go to D. Stevens, and then we'll go to Anthony Collins, and then we'll get Mr. Francois to close out that question. Take it away, Daryl.
Good afternoon. Good question. I'm hoping I could answer that in reference, well, what the city does as far as with the construction management services that was named there, that he's looking for possible outsourcing, such as constructability reviews, estimating, and some of the other things that you mentioned. The city normally gets that when we solicit for a construction manager. We don't really separate any of those disciplines. It's usually all incorporated when we solicit for a construction management firm to bid on a select project. So to answer the question, none of those, as of right now, none of those would apply to the city as far as subletting or advertising for those particular disciplines. I'm hoping I was able to answer that question thoroughly. In summary, we normally, when we solicit for various projects, we get those services through the construction manager. That's in summary.
So when you do it for the project management, is a small business able to, when you do the release for those project management services, is it only something a part of a major construction? Some of those constructions you mentioned, or is a project management services procured separately in a part? No, you don't pull out the particular, scheduling and cost controls and those disciplines
pull-
within it. But we,
Correct. We don't pull out the disciplines. And plus, even if we did, keep in mind, the city does have project managers on staff who are capable of doing most of those items as well. So for the most part, a lot of it is purchased when we solicit for the construction manager for the project.
excellent. We'll talk a little more about that mentoring prospect. That's something that we could possibly definitely do that can give them leverage. Mr. Mr. Sanchez of D. Stevenson. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. That's why you said you would remain open. I knew you would be wonderful. I had this question in mind when you said yes. Possibly, sir, are these questions you said that you outsource, or is it something that's done directly by Steve Stevenson for various projects?
Well, I tell you, we currently do outsource scheduling services. So we use a firm that has expertise in Primavera and does that for all of our projects that are more complicated than we would use Microsoft projects or something simple on. So again, there would be somebody, and we currently use a firm that's certified as a small business, and she does she does more than scheduling, but her primary business is scheduling. We don't really, we have a full pre-construction team, so we have estimators, and so we do our own estimating services, or we provide estimating services to our clients. There could be a time that, we may be very busy and we may need some outsource. We do have some resources that we can pull on. There are several firms out there that will do that for you. So if this is an area that if this gentleman is an expert in, then we could talk about that. We also use an outside consultant for safety. Again, our superintendents are all OSHA 30-hour certified, but I think it provides our clients, I know it provides our clients with an added level of confidence when we inform them, when we have a third-party safety consultant that comes to our projects and reviews our projects independently of the superintendents, and then to make sure that they're exercising the most current and the best practices for safety. So those are some of the things that we do outsource. As Daryl mentioned, we have project managers in-house for ourselves, and we don't necessarily want to outsource our core service. And in fact, some clients will look at us as something less if we don't provide those services ourselves. They say, well, why are we hiring you if we can hire somebody else directly? So we handle those core services mostly in-house so that we're providing our client with that continuity of service. But there are opportunities here and there.
Okay. And since Daryl said that it's not something that the city does in-house, Mr. Collins will move, and Mr. Francois will move to the next question that the two of you had something to add, sir? Go ahead, Mr. Collins.
I think that there could be a potential for this minority business to maybe get with procurement to see if they could register in the library for construction management services. There are some occasions where you may need some expertise, say, maybe a change order management situation or a cost management situation. It's not very often you have that, but the first step in the process will be for the person to become part of the library of consultant if they're so qualified, and then start from there. Because there could be an opportunity there for this kind of a service, though it may not be on a regular or continual basis. But that's what I would recommend or suggest to this small business person.
That's an excellent recommendation, sir. And for those businesses of you who are not aware, one of the things, the amazing tools that the procurement department has in place, and we do have Ms. Brenda Martin on the line that we will ask to share a little bit about. We have library of consultants, and it's an inclusionary measure within procurement to ensure that small minority local businesses have more opportunities. And these libraries allow the businesses to go through a procurement process. They're then in the library. You can be in a library for up to 3 years. And so it's a huge and a great tool whereby which it eliminates a great deal of barriers for minority companies, because then you don't have to keep going through the procurement process, which smaller firms, and the disparity study says smaller firms don't have the means and the staff to keep going through all of these solicitations. So to the extent that you can get into a library and be on what they were alluding and asking Director Valera about earlier, is there a library? They must know that we have the library, and there are some disciplines. So Brenda Martin, I know you're on the line. We have Brenda Martin from the procurement department. She's going to be talking about upcoming contracting opportunities at the end. But to the extent, Brenda, you can give some information, more detailed and accurate information about your specialty, the procurement department's library of consultants, this would be a wonderful opportunity if you could, please, ma'am. Thank you for joining us, Brenda. Take it away.
Thank you, Karen. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
great.
we can.
Thank you. Yes, I've been holding on, just waiting for the opportunity to speak. I have been listening to the questions that have been submitted, and yes, as the utilities director pointed out, and also you, Karen, the library that we have a architectural and engineering library, which encompasses a variety of subcategories under that library. And there's an engineering, architectural, utilities, land architecture, various categories underneath that library where professionals can become a part of. Now, this library was enacted in 2019, so it will probably be up for renewal next year, 2022. We will do a formal advertisement for that library, and most of our advertisements are done on demandstar.com as well as the local newspapers. So once you see these advertisements for these projects, please do your best to try to get on and submit a proposal to these solicitations that we have that comes out. We also have other libraries for community development and different pools that we have. So those will cater to the specific specialty that you are specialized in. And also we do the same thing. Those are advertised the same way. Right now, those are also closed, but they'll be reopening for advertisement between next year, 2022, and late of next year, 2022. So keep an eye out for that. There was a question that was posed to the fire department, and I wanted to address that. Any vendor that would like to do business with the city of Miramar, we encourage you to speak with the procurement director, Alicia Ayum, or you can also speak with any one of the professionals in the procurement department who will be here to assist you. Each employee or professional in the procurement department, they specialize in different areas, or they specialize in those different departments. For instance, we have an analyst that deals with utilities. We have an analyst that deals with marketing. We have an analyst that deals with public works. So the different areas of your interest is where you can reach out to that procurement professional who will be happy to sit with you and discuss what you have to present. most of the time we will invite the directors of that department to join us so that they can also hear what you're pitching to us. And if they feel that there is a particular need for what you are offering, and if there's a way that we can help facilitate the process of you getting that service to us, we will certainly find a way to make it, as long as it's within the Florida guidelines, the code, and the city code as well. There are times, like the utilities director was speaking about just a minute ago, there are times when there are emergencies that comes up, and so we have different exceptions to the procurement code, where if your particular specialty is something that we need on an emergency basis, then that excludes the formal procurement process, and we would reach out to you in that retrospect. So the first thing that you would have to do is try to get on with the city of Miramar as a registered vendor. So it's very important that you do that, because once you get onto the city as a registered vendor, then you will be contacted. We will have you in our Munis system, and you will be contacted should there become any kind of emergencies that we need your expertise on. Also, it's important for you to get on with demandstar.com, which is a free service. So that will give you the avenue to keep an eye on any projects that we solicit. And with that system, the way it's set up, it automatically gives you an email. So even if you didn't kept an eye on Demand Star on a usual basis, you'll get an email if it pertains to your particular expertise. So I just wanted to give you that little explanation, and if there's any other questions, we're all here to help you, and procurement is definitely here to help you with streamlining the process for any paperwork, legal paperwork, or formal paperwork that has to do with becoming a vendor with the city of Miramar. Thank you.
Excellent. Don't go away, Brenda. We have questions for procurement.
Oh,
Yes,
no
yes, yes.
problem. No
I'm glad you
problem.
asked.
No problem. I'm here
I
all
was
the time.
I was getting around to you. You listen, I know you have a presentation at the end, but listen, here's a question, procurement. I'm a new local, small, minority, female business owner, is what I think you meant, in Miramar, in the performing arts arena. So that's our industry. Can a new business with little or no experience secure consulting? I'm going to just give you all her questions because you'll see they're related. Can a new business with little or no experience in securing consulting contracts with the city, secure contracts with the city? Is there a library of consultants for the creative writers and performers? I guess now that they know the library of consultants, they want to know, does Liz have one? Does Fire? But is there a library of consultants for the creative writers and performers? What are the insurance requirements for consultants that offer services to MCC? And the last one is, I learned a lot helping the consultants with the All-American City Award project. Can this count as experience for me to place on my resume? So she was one of the young ladies that assisted us. Tara would remember her, Miss Taylor J. She's a minority, she's a Miramar firm. She did an excellent job helping us win that All-American City Award, which we are now with the city of Miramar. Excellent. But she wants to know, Brenda, she has little or no experience. She's a new business first. Can she use that All-American consultant things where she helped the consultants hired by the city? Can she put that on her resume as experience?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
answer those questions. If you need me to regurgitate any of them, take it away, Brenda. answering those
Okay,
questions.
so
please.
for your first question, as long as, and I'm sure with doing that with y'all with All American, she should be a vendor. I'm guessing already with the city of Miramar. So everything that I just spoke about applies to her as well. I am hoping that she is also registered as a small business with the Broward County, as I'm hoping that she is. I am not sure, but I would encourage her to.
No, she's very new, Brenda. She's just
Okay,
opening up her business. We hired the consultants and she was just assisting them.
okay,
So
so
in seeing that the city purchased consultants through that capacity, she then came over to me to say, how can I get my business in to do this
okay,
work for the city?
so
This is what I
so
do.
okay, so then yes, so she would have to make sure that she's registered with Broward County as a CBE, SBE minority firm, female firm. Make sure she checks all the boxes, and that will definitely be a plus for her when it comes to projects that are advertised, because certain projects that are advertised, we make sure that the city definitely encourages minority firms, female firms to participate and to submit for projects that are advertised. We give special extra points for that when it comes to projects that entail evaluation, and so they get extra points for that. So it's absolutely in her benefit to try to make sure that she gets on with Broward County and register as a SBE minority firm, female firm, and that would be in her best interest. Um, as for what she has done with the All American, definitely any project that she sees she is qualified for that is advertised and she would like to submit for it, she can absolutely use the city of Miramar as a reference. So that already gives her that experience that she thinks she lacks, but actually that's a good point. So those would be two strong factors in her favor, knowing that she is a female firm, SBMB firm, and also has the experience working with the city of Miramar on that All-American project. That is definitely a highlight I would put on my resume if I were her. Is there another question she had?
Excellent. I think you answered them. She wanted to know, was there a library of consultants? I guess they've heard about the library. We've been talking about it and doing webinars. So they want to know, does Liz have a webinar, a library of consultants? Is there a library of consultants for the creative writers and performers, or MCC? And she said,
No.
what are the insurance requirements for consultants that
Okay,
offer their services to MCC?
for each project, when it comes to the insurance requirements, is determinative on the department project manager who's over that project. And once they send out that solicitation, the insurance requirements will be there. Of course, as a regular business, she should still have her own insurance. But however, when it comes to the limits of the insurance for her type of field, it would be determinative on the project, and the advertisement would state how much limits she should have. But most of the time, I would believe for stuff like that, it's professional. She's supposed to have professional. But again, the project would state that for the insurance part.
Okay. And there are no library of consultants for MCC.
I gotta get back with her on that. If she could shoot me an email, because I
I
don't
will
want to give
forward
her.
you her information, and I
Yeah.
will forward you those questions so that
Yeah.
you can follow up with her. And so Ms. Taylor J, she's answered the questions, and I will be forwarding Brenda Martin your information and your specific questions so that she can follow up with you on that. Now, last segment, we're doing so great on timing. So
Dr. Hollis.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. I have a 3:30 meeting for this Miramar Task Force with ACM Gale. Is there anything else for Public Works? Because I think we've exceeded. We're supposed to be stopping at 3:30, right?
Yes,
Ms. Valera was just telling me the same thing, and
Yeah.
I do understand,
Likewise.
sir.
And likewise,
I
I
am
want,
going to utilities right now, sir, and the questions for utilities, I will forward to you as well, and you can let me know if you can offer anything for this small business, Esther Lambert. But Mr. Francois is on the line and can definitely assist me with the last few questions. And then after that, we're going to be allowing the businesses to see the contracting opportunities with the city. Thank you both so very much. We are still recording. So yes, thank you very much. I do understand. All right, thank you for joining us. So Mr. Francois, the questions, here we go, sir. Are you ready? We have several
Yes, sir.
questions from a business, Esther Lambert. She's with Corporate Project Services. Why don't I do them one at a time? There are 4 questions, sir, because they're long questions. Number 1, how can small businesses like mine that offer non-technical project management services on construction and engineering projects position ourselves as value-adding subs to primes such as those that the city hire? And Mr. Sanchez can chime in on city projects. So this is Esther Lambert. We did a small business utilization meeting for her. She wanted to be sure to submit her questions. So small businesses like hers that offer non-technical project management services, okay, on construction and engineering projects. And we'll let Leah, if you can, Leah, chime in as well.
Well,
Francois, you can go first and then Leah can follow up.
this Francois Damon, I believe, listen, I have a very short history with Miramar, and I believe the best answer is what Brenda provided previously. You need to get yourself in the library. I believe there are opportunities, of course. Our projects are very diverse. They have multi areas that which we can explore. Project management is an area. Public outreach is another area that we use. But as far as I'm aware, within the city of Miramar, you must be part of the library. So as soon as the library is open up for the public to enter, I think you should sign up for that.
That's confirmed.
Thank you. Leah, do you have anything to follow up with non-technical?
Sure, and if I would say this too, so if she doesn't want to go the library route, which would probably be the easiest route, she would wind up joining on a team probably with someone else. And by her second question, I can tell kind of that's where her head is at. So if you're going to be adding value to a prime, the best way to do that is to know the scope of the project, know your scope as a sub, know what the standards are or the requirements are for the project, know what the submittals need to be and what those deadlines are so that you can turn in all of your stuff on time or perform all of your work in accordance with what the contract says. And then the last thing would be know what the reporting requirements are. If there's any EEO reporting or payrolls or anything like that, the deadlines and what needs to go on those are also important. So maybe not directly work related, but other reporting requirements that are required by the contract. And then the other thing that's important to know is know what your prime contractor's job is so that you can anticipate any upcoming conflicts or any items of work where you guys will have to partner and work together and maybe give a little to get a little. And that's what I've discovered has been very useful and a signal of success for anyone who wants to come on as a sub on the job and add value to the prime.
Now, Mr. Sanchez, I do want you to chime in, but the next question is specifically for you as well. From the same Ms. Lambert, she said, in some prime sub relationships, subs can at times be regarded as liabilities rather than contributors to the team. How can we change this narrative and be seen as assets rather than liabilities? Mr. Sanchez, please help me answer this question.
Okay, well, okay, I'll put those 2 questions together. But I'll be honest, what troubles me a little bit is I hear the questions like, what do you need done? And I'll do it. That kind of question doesn't sit well with me. You know, it's like, what are you good at? what value do you bring to the team? And that's what I want to hear. When I going back to my presentation is, what is it that you've been doing? What did you study in school? What have you been doing for the last, the first part of your career? What is it that makes you so good? And how does that benefit our team and is going to benefit the client? But it's just like in interviews. Don't tell me you want a job because you need to pay the bills. Tell me what you're good at, and if there's an opportunity to fit you in here, I'll fit you in. And if there's not an opportunity, then I'll try to refer you to somebody who can use your skills and your talents better than I can. So that would be my honest answer. And you will not be a liability to our team if you're providing the service that I need, because I'm going to be calling upon you to do what you need to do. And it's a two-way street too. It's my responsibility. If I hire you, it's my responsibility to make sure I put the opportunity and the challenge in front of you so that you can shine, right? So just like when I hire people, hire interns, I feel that same way when I hire a consultant. I need to set you up for success. I need to give you the challenges that are going to save me time and money and help us look good to the client so that we can be successful and be called back in the future. So I hope my answer was a little bit of tough love,
Excellent.
but also
No, excellent.
yeah.
Yes, candid talk is what this platform is all about in this dialogue. And she
Right.
did supply her resume or capability statement, which I will forward, that tells the specific of exactly what she does.
Okay.
And she wanted to know, how can small businesses position ourselves for clients to take a chance on us in a mentor-protege relationship? And how do we market our services to stand out among a crowded field of competitors vying for opportunities in the same space, which is this non-technical project management she's talking about.
Yeah, even if it's not technical, you can have a specialization. And I'll just put it in the world of that I live in construction, because if I'm going to do a project in a neighborhood and you know that community better than I know that community, even though you may not be a technical expert, you have a knowledge of that community that can benefit me, because you're going to help me find people that can work on my project. You can help me navigate, the politics of that neighborhood, that community. So those are non-technical roles, but you can still have an expertise that, you may not even be aware of. So there are more opportunities out there.
Excellent answer. We have concluded the question and answering segment. I do have a few additional questions that we were not able to get to this afternoon. Particularly some came in for procurement, which I will be forwarding to Director Ayum and Brenda, and they will, all questions, especially and including those that will be entered into the chat, will be answered. If you took the time, and if you can, be sure to specify to whom you would like from me, myself, and Paul to direct your questions to. We will get those questions to the various directors, and they will be responding. So thank you, firms, again, for having submitted these amazing questions. This is it. This is how you position yourself. This is how you get the information in advance, so you know exactly what is expected of you. First and foremost, as I stated, and Brenda Martin came back and confirmed, the first step to doing business with the city of Miramar is to become a registered vendor. Please, we have videos, we've had webinars in that respect. I will be more than happy, and we always follow up with a link so that you can register as a vendor. And I will be including in that link also step-by-step how to register your business guide that will show you that the procurement department has gone above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that they give you all the information you need to become a registered vendor. So last but not least, we appreciate you having been here. We don't just want to give you information on how to position yourself to get contracting opportunities with the department. We also want you to know some upcoming contracting opportunities that will be released. The city of Miramar has entered into an interlocal agreement with Broward County for the metropolitan, the transportation surtax projects. And so we have Leah Leah DeReal on the line, engineer, and we have Brenda Martin. They are a part of that, what we call the MPO team of experts within the city of Miramar. And I've asked them, and they so graciously have agreed to come on board and to share the presentation, because we want you to see all of the projects that are going to be released. They're projects with small business participation goals, the scopes of services, so you'll know exactly what they're expecting and whether or not your business provides these particular services. And more importantly, this team, MPO team, is going to let you know how you can position your business to be able to capitalize once these projects are released by the city of Miramar through procurement. So now, Leah and Brenda, take it away. Please, please, please give us information on the upcoming contracting opportunities with the city of Miramar.
All right, great. Thanks, Dr. Hollis. So we have 4 upcoming projects that are set to be let or put out on the street at the end of this year. The first and most major of those projects is a design scope. So for all my designers out there who offer professional services, this one is for you. It's the widening of Pembroke Road and the extension of Pembroke Road.
Sorry, Leah, would you like me to show the PowerPoint presentation?
Sure,
Or
you
can
can
share
go
your
ahead.
screen? Do you have it?
I don't have it.
I do.
All right, go for it.
Because we want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful.
I apologize. I thought Paul was going to throw it up on the screen there, but I can talk through while you're finding it. And then once you pull it up, they'll be able to see it up on the screen there. But the first, sure, go ahead. The first project is the Pembroke Road Extension project. So that starts at Dykes Road, and it involves 3 different design segments. The first design segment is from Dykes Road out to 196th, and because there is an existing 2-lane typical section there, that's going to be widening Pembroke Road in that segment. The second segment is the extension of Pembroke Road from 196th all the way out to US 27, and that'll also be a 4-lane typical section to match the widening. And then the third segment of that project will be the extension of Miramar Parkway, bending north at 192nd Avenue to intersect with Pembroke Road 96th. So, like I said, that's a design scope project. Because of the surtax funding that's tied to it, the county has assigned a 30% CBE goal for that project. So if you're a CBE and you're certified, then this is a great opportunity for you to go after it. And if you don't want to go after it as a prime, you can always go after it as a sub and team up with another prime contractor that's maybe a little bit bigger, and take on a certain subset or a subgroup of activities in the design. So you guys can see the project information up on the screen there. And like I said, that is scheduled to come out by the end of this year. The second design opportunity that we have for you guys, the next project is, you can go through that, just information about project scope that you guys are seeing on the slide: landscaping, lighting, drainage, buffered bike lanes, sidewalks, noise walls, and the warrant associated with the noise walls, and signing and pavement markings are all going to be part of that scope there. In addition, we're going to be doing a bridge or a culvert over South Broward Canal number 7, which is right there, runs along 196th Avenue. And some traffic design and warrant studies for the signal that's going to be coming into that intersection of Miramar Parkway and Pembroke Road. So you can go ahead with the next slide, Dr. Hollis. And that shows the project location and the 3 different segments that I just talked about. Go ahead. All right. So the second design opportunity that we have for all my designers out there is the bus shelter improvement project. This is also a surtax funded project. Because the project estimated value is less than $250,000, the county has assigned a 0% CBE goal, but we still welcome all CBEs to go after these jobs. So because that does count towards and makes the county look good essentially, and it provides opportunity for you guys as well. So this is the design of 12 permanent bus shelters at various locations throughout the city. It's the design of one large shelter and one small shelter. So, and then that design would be repeated in all of those various locations throughout the city. Go ahead with the next one, Karen. The third opportunity that we have for you guys is a planning scope project. So this is planning for buffered bike lanes on Pembroke Road in between Island Drive and State Road 7. Anticipated project estimate for this one is about $90,000. This one's also supposed to come out by the end of the year. CBE goal for this one is 0%, but like I said before on the other project, this doesn't preclude you guys from going after it if you're a CBE. We still welcome and encourage all of our CBE firms to seek inclusion on all of these surtax projects. So, and go ahead with the last one. And the last one is a design scope project for buffered bike lanes in between Avenue and Douglas Road. So the county has also assigned a 0% CBE goal to this one, but all my CBEs are more than welcome to go after these projects. So for these last three projects that we've talked about, the planning project for the buffered bike lanes, the design project for the buffered bike lanes, and the bus shelter improvement project, all of those projects are anticipated to have about a year's worth of design on them. And that's being conservative. Might be done a little bit earlier than that. But for my construction contractors out there, these projects should be moving into their construction phase at the end of design. So if you're a contractor out there and you're sitting for and waiting for these jobs to come out and hit their construction scope, you should probably expect them to come into construction in about a year. So right now we're looking at letting these out by the end of the year for design. That means construction would roll around in about a year. Okay, for the Pembroke Road extension project, that one should take about 2 years in design, and then when it gets let for construction, it will let in those three different segments as three different construction projects. So if you're, like I said, a construction contractor who's out there and interested, that is your anticipated time frame to start looking for these jobs on DemandStar. And as Brenda mentioned before, we do let these projects through DemandStar. It will be let through the city and not through the county. So we will have these projects hitting the streets for you guys, like I said, hopefully by the end of this year. All right. And that said, back to you, Dr. Hollis, or Brenda, if you want to chime in.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, yeah, Brenda here. I am just on the procurement side, I'm just going to be making sure that everything is facilitated based on the laws of Florida and the city code, making sure that we are in compliance with the state's requirements for each project. So my role will just be streamlining the process to make sure that everyone has dotted their I's and crossed their T's. So if there's any other questions, I'm here.
Yes, and if anybody has any other questions, our contact information was just on the screen up there, so you can back up the presentation and take a look at our, and feel free to reach out to us directly.
Thank you both. And we can make this presentation available to the businesses, Leah and Brenda. Yes, okay. I wanted to get their permission, but yes, we can make this information available to you with all of those projects. You see the NAICS codes that they'll be looking for. You see the dollar amounts that will be released with each project. You see all of the information in terms of the scopes of services that will be required and tentative timelines. One of the things that the disparity study said we as a city should and can do better is to provide minority businesses with sufficient notice about upcoming projects so that they can prepare in advance. And what was the tip from one of our success story small businesses, Mr. Sanchez of D. Stevens? Plan ahead. And so we have given you the tools, we've given you the resources, we've given you the information. The most important thing he said at the beginning, which I will conclude this webinar with, is now in your court. You are the one that have to know that it is imperative for you to take the information that we've made available from all of these department directors and these leaders and these primes, and take this information, position yourself so that you can capitalize on this information and be able to position yourself to be able to do business with the city of Miramar, not just the city of Miramar. You see those upcoming contracting opportunities are also with Broward County at large. So thank you again for attending this webinar this afternoon. Thank you to all of my panel members for your participation, as well as the excellent information that you made available to the businesses this afternoon. All of your questions, those that we did not get to that were submitted in advance, as well as all of those questions that were entered into the chat box, hopefully you directed them to particular people. Just know we will be forwarding them as requested, and you will receive an answer, because here at the City of Miramar, our ultimate goal is to do all we can to ensure you have access to the information that you need to position your business to be able to grow, develop, especially in this post-COVID pandemic. Again, remember the tips that were given. So many businesses were not able to capitalize on a lot of the benefits because they did not have their resources and their systems in place. We're seeking to assist you in that capacity with the Business Inclusion and Diversity Program. We welcome you to offer and ask any questions. We have pre-recorded webinars on bonding, insurance, trainings, certifications that you will need with Broward County. We have trainings on registration, vendor registration. All you have to do is send me an email, Karen Hollis, and Kate Hollis at miramarfl.gov, and I will be more than happy to share that information with you. Thank you again for attending the webinar this afternoon. That concludes the webinar, and we hope that you have received sufficient information and found the information that we made available valuable. Thank you again. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Take care.
All right, guys, we're done. So the recording is done. Thank you, Paul, so very much. Thank you.